My roommate was messing around and suddenly slid a ring onto my finger. Then she bowed with a grin. Congrats, sis-in-law. Her brother had died last week. Was she trying to set me up in a ghost marriage? My roommate, still smiling, said, "It's not like anyone at school is into you anyway. You should be grateful my brother wants you." Too bad for her. I'm the local reaper. You think I need you to set me up with a dead guy? My roommate Leah's brother had died. After going home for the funeral, she was always crying in the dorm. Sometimes she'd wake up in the middle of the night to burn paper and incense, mumbling nonsense. She was a bit of a loner and didn't have many friends to begin with. Now she was just getting on everyone's nerves. I felt sorry for her, so I tried to comfort her a few times. For the next few days, I stuck with her everywhere: classes, meals, late-night study sessions. I even took her out for boba and a movie over the weekend. Leah was really touched. "Quinn, you're so nice," she said. Then she hugged me and started crying. "I wish we could really be family." I patted her back gently. "We've been roommates for 3 years. We already are family." She immediately broke into a grin and held out her pinky. "Pinky promise? We'll be family forever?" Leah gradually got back to her old self and started smiling more. Sometimes she'd pull out her phone to look at pictures and videos of her brother. She'd even ask me if I thought he was handsome. Honestly, he was average at best. His forehead was sunken, his face was small, and his nose was low. A classic look for someone destined for an early grave. But I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so I just nodded and said, "Yeah, he's pretty cute." Leah stared at her phone, a small smile on her face. "Yeah. My brother said you're pretty too." For the rest of the semester, Leah followed me everywhere. Her family would sometimes send her local snacks like dates and walnuts. She always made sure to share them with me. I gradually started to think she wasn't so bad after all. One day, it was just the two of us in the dorm. Leah showed me a red padded jacket. She said her mom made it for me by hand and wanted me to try it on. The style was a bit old-fashioned, like something out of a period drama, and I wasn't really a fan. But it was a nice gesture, so I put it on. To my surprise, it fit perfectly, as if it were tailor-made for me. The way Leah looked at me changed, and she kept saying how great it looked. Then she said she had a mysterious gift for me and told me to close my eyes and hold out my hand. I did as she said. As soon as I held out my hand, I felt something cold slip onto my ring finger. I opened my eyes and saw she'd put a ring on me. The ring was ice cold and I couldn't tell what it was made of. It was black and shiny, with a faint red thread woven into it. While I was still stunned, Leah started bowing to me repeatedly. "Congratulations, my dear sister-in-law." Her smile was so creepy it gave me a bad feeling. I immediately tried to take the ring off, but it was like it had grown onto my finger. It wouldn't budge no matter how hard I pulled. I started to panic. "What's with this ring? Help me get it off now." Leah just giggled and put her arm around me. "If it doesn't come off, it's fate. It means my brother has taken a liking to you." A chill ran down my spine. "But your brother is dead." Leah looked deeply offended and glared at me, shouting, "My brother is not dead. He's the only son for 3 generations. How could he die before getting married and having kids?" Her face was twisted with rage as she yelled, a completely different person from her usual self. After her outburst, she dropped to her knees, hugged my legs, and started crying again. On the day of his funeral, the pallbearer's poles broke. If his line is broken, our whole family will become wandering ghosts. We have to perform a ghost marriage. You always said you thought my brother was handsome, didn't you? I'm just making your wish come true. I was stunned, watching Leah's snot and tears performance. How could she say something so shameless with such a straight, tear-streaked face? Seeing my lack of reaction, she must have thought I was hesitating. She launched into a rapid-fire attempt to console me. "Don't be scared just because you heard ghost marriage. You don't have to die. You just have to go home with me over winter break for a little ceremony. After you come back to school, you can do whatever you want. All you have to do is be buried with my brother after you die. I know you're a good person. You'd be willing to help with something this small, right?" I stared at her, my face blank. "Being a good person means I have to be your family's ghost bride?" Leah rolled her eyes at me. "I'm doing this for your own good. Think about it. Has any guy at college even looked at you in 3 years? For my brother to choose you, that's a blessing. From now on, you won't have to do a thing. Our whole family will support you as a stay-at-home wife. Where else are you going to find a deal that good? You shouldn't be so ungrateful. Looking at Leah's pathetic yet malicious expression felt as disgusting as swallowing a fly. I don't even want a regular marriage, and you're hitting me with a ghost marriage? I thought you were my friend, and you pull this on me? Leah froze, the pathetic look vanishing from her face. She stood up and looked down at me with contempt. Acting all nice and fake with me all the time. Eating my family's food, wearing my family's clothes, using my family's things. And now that we need you, trying to bail? I yanked at the ring a few more times, but it wouldn't come off. I quickly stripped off the red jacket and threw it in her face. Take your jacket back, and I'll smash this ring off my finger if I have to. As for everything else, make a list, and I'll pay you back every single cent. As I started to walk out, Leah blocked the door. You wore the wedding clothes and the ring. You're part of my family now. If you don't go through with the ceremony, my brother will come and haunt you every day. He'll ruin your graduation, your marriage, your job prospects. He'll make sure you ungrateful wench, never have a moment of peace. I was suddenly filled with an overwhelming disgust for her. I pointed at her face and said, I don't want to talk to you anymore. If you've got the guts, have your brother come over right now. I'd love to see how he'll make me never have a moment of peace. At the time, I just figured Leah had lost her mind. I didn't take it seriously. But I never expected the next day to be a constant stream of bad luck. First, I got called on by the professor in every single class. Then, the hot water dispenser exploded when I was filling my thermos. Later, while joking with the class hunk, a snot bubble shot out of my nose. I thought to myself, what the hell is going on? That night at my part-time job, I told my coworkers about it, and they nearly died laughing. My side gig is as a reaper, an agent of the underworld. Because my birth chart is extremely heavy, I was discovered by the local reaper organization just a few days after starting college, and became an intern. My main job is to escort souls to the local underworld precinct for processing. When all that bad luck was happening today, I didn't sense any spirits around, so I suspected it had to be the ring. I went to several locksmiths, but none of them could cut the thing off. The ring was getting tighter and tighter, almost fusing with my finger. My boss, Shui, took one look at it and knew what it was. That's a ghost nuptial ring. When a man dies, besides losing control of his bodily functions, he releases his seed one last time. This ring is made by mixing that seed with corpse oil. Once you put it on, if you don't go through with the wedding ceremony, you'll be plagued by the ring's negative energy. The level of bad luck you're having now is actually pretty mild. I flung my hand in disgust. No wonder I'd been so agitated all day, feeling a dark cloud looming over my head. I'd been cursed. I quickly asked how to get it off. Shui said simple. Just file a complaint with the local reapers, and we'll detain your so-called fiancé. The marriage contract will be void, and the ring will become useless. I quickly corrected him, he's not my damn fiancé. I've been set up. I cursed Leah inwardly, regretting my moment of weakness and kindness toward her. Now I just wanted to scatter her brother's ashes to the wind. After making up my mind, I asked, what if I go and arrest the dead guy myself? Shui thought for a moment. For your classmate to put a ghost nuptial ring on you, it means her family has someone who knows what they're doing. You haven't even finished your internship, so you might not be able to handle it. I should probably just contact the reapers over there directly. I quickly interjected, no need. If word of this gets out, how am I supposed to make it in this line of work? I'll probably end up as a joke in some stand-up routine at the annual Underworld convention. Shui chuckled and handed me 3 talismans. These are spirit communication talismans. When you need to contact us, just pop one in your mouth and chew. He then reminded me that safety comes first. If I ran into real trouble, I shouldn't try to force it and could summon the local reapers for backup. I nodded in agreement, then thought for a moment and asked, if I go to another jurisdiction to capture a soul, would that be considered poaching a case from the local team? The organization won't punish me, will they? Shui gave a cold laugh. If you can't poach this case, then I'll be the one punishing you. When I got back, I immediately asked Leah to meet me so I could apologize. I was being ungrateful before. What's the big deal about marrying a living person these days, anyway? You just end up with deadbeat husbands and single parenting. A ghost marriage is way better. You just lie back and coast. It's the ultimate shortcut. Leah smiled, praising me for my quick thinking. The day after our exams ended, Leah and I dragged our suitcases straight to the train station. We took a train, then a bus, then a sketchy, unlicensed cab. After a long and bumpy journey, we finally arrived at a small mountain village deep in the mountains. Her father, Mr. Lee, was already waiting for us at the village entrance. When he saw Leah bringing me back, his eyes immediately fixed on me with a lecherous stare. He looked me up and down, then down and up, for a good 5 minutes. Then he grinned. Good, this one's good. Leah nudged me with her elbow. What are you waiting for? Call him Dad. I held back my disgust and forced a smile. Dad. Mr. Lee's face lit up with joy. He immediately pulled out a crisp $100 bill. Here, a little something for calling me Dad. I took the money and followed them into the village. Mr. sidled up to me and suddenly slapped my butt. He grinned again. This ass is built for childbirth. Our family is sure to have many descendants. I swallowed my anger, kept the smile plastered on my face, and thought to myself, right. You can confidently leave the sacred duty of ending your family line to me. Leah's house was packed with people, men and women, young and old, all smoking, drinking, and cracking sunflower seeds in a haze of smoke. When I walked in, they all turned to stare, sizing me up like a piece of merchandise. After Leah introduced me to everyone, this gang of aunts, uncles, and cousins started grilling me. What do your parents do? Are they government employees? How many siblings do you have? What kind of house do you live in? Do you have a car? I thought to myself, it's just a ghost marriage. Do you really need all these details? Are you expecting my family to throw in a car as part of the dowry? Then the aunts started asking about my relationship history, saying that a lot of college girls these days have loose morals. Leah quickly assured them that wasn't the case. My sister-in-law is a good girl. She hasn't had a single boyfriend in 3 years of college. She's still a virgin. She did confess to a senior on the basketball team back in sophomore year, though. The next day, his girlfriend chewed her out, and the whole department heard about it. She even cried secretly when she got back. The whole room erupted in laughter. I shot Leah a look. You really tell that embarrassing story to everyone you meet, don't you? But this time, I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I smiled and lit a cigarette. Hey, I didn't know the guy had a girlfriend. I guess I was just horny for him back then. We slept together a couple of times, but it turned out to be nothing special. He was way worse than the guys from the street dance club. The room fell silent. A few of the older women were already whispering to each other. Leah's face turned red, then white, as she shot me a warning look. I just laughed. I'm just kidding. No matter how wild I was before, I'll behave myself here in the village. A few of the older men were clearly getting excited, sneaking glances at me. Mr. Lee quickly spoke up. All right, it's getting late. Everyone head home. My daughter-in-law needs her rest. After everyone left, I said I wanted to see my husband. Mr. Lee said no. Then Leah's mom, Mrs. came in and said there was still something to be done tonight. I noticed her expression was a little strange. What is it? I asked. Leah's eyes darted around. Well, you're part of the family now, so we should keep it in the family. Tonight, my uncle's third son is coming over to give you a seed. I froze. What do you mean? Leah gave me a wicked smirk and nudged me. Don't play dumb. You know what I mean. I've got it all planned out for you. During your senior year internship, you'll come to our house to carry the baby. As long as you give birth to a son, our family line will continue. We'll even give you $20,000. I was stunned. I thought this was just a ceremony. What's with the sudden add-ons? You think you can get me to have a baby for $20,000? Leah sneered at me. What's with your attitude, Quinn? You're our family's daughter-in-law now. You do what we tell you to do. Cut the crap. Leah had already drawn a hot bath for me. While she was scrubbing my back, she leaned in and whispered coldly in my ear, "Don't get any clever ideas. No woman has ever escaped this village alive." Just be obedient, and our family won't give you any trouble. We're still family after all. I didn't want to tip my hand, and I couldn't be bothered to argue with her, so I just pretended to agree. After the bath, Leah took my phone and ID, gave me a new set of clothes, and led me to a room in the east wing. Seeing my silence, Leah must have thought I was nervous. She whispered, "All right, stop pretending. I know you read those steamy novels in bed after lights out. My third cousin is built like a bull. You're in for a treat tonight." Then she gave me a wicked grin, shut the door and windows tightly, and left. When I couldn't hear any sounds from outside, I quickly got my bearings, formed a hand seal, and faced the northeast corner of the room. The ghost gate, chanting, "Path of shadows, gate of light, hear my command, spirit, take flight." It was a ghost summoning technique Shui had taught me during training. This was my first time trying it. After a moment, black smoke billowed from the corner of the room. A female ghost with long hair and a red dress emerged. "Reaper, what is your command?" It was my first time delegating a task to a ghost, and I was a little nervous. I asked cautiously, "I need a little favor. Do you know anything about the birds and the bees?" The ghost immediately got excited. "I was screwed to death by the men of this village." "Good," I said. "Tonight, you get your chance for revenge. A man is coming over soon." The ghost was fired up. "Rest assured, my lady. I'll screw him to death." I quickly stopped her. "Hold on, if someone dies, it'll be bad for both of our karmas." Then I added, "But as long as you don't kill him, you can screw him half to death for all I care." The door opened. A dark, burly man walked in, reeking of alcohol, and stared lecherously around the room. The ghost I summoned was named Penny. She had been wandering the village for years, and her ghostly energy had weakened. After being summoned by my spell, her power surged, and she took on my appearance, lying on the bed. The third cousin, Trey, stared lustfully at me on the bed and pounced, slobbering all over her. Ghosts have no physical form, they rely on illusions to seduce people. So while Trey was getting all worked up, from my perspective, he was just humping a pillow and rolling around on the bed. All his pleasure was a self-generated fantasy under Penny's spell. Trey, lost in his own lewd delusions, stripped naked, tore up the sheets and duvet cover, and started violently shaking the headboard. "How's that, sis-in-law? Am I good or what?" Penny, writhing her hips with a seductive look, began to drain his life force, his yang energy. The room filled with creaks and groans as the bed frame nearly collapsed. 10 seconds later, his vital energy erupted. Penny took a deep, long draw from beneath him. Trey was sent into ecstasy, but his life force visibly dwindled. Dark circles appeared under his eyes, and his life bar dropped by half. He wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, feeling like he wasn't on his A-game tonight. He popped a couple of little blue pills, saying he hadn't gotten the rhythm right before, and was now ready for the main event. He even pulled out a pair of black stockings, saying he wanted to spice things up. This guy looked like a brute, but he sure had some kinky ideas. Just then there was a knock at the door. Trey opened it to find a skinny, pale man. The newcomer looked at the shredded cotton and cloth on the floor, snuck a peek at Penny hiding under the covers, and gave Trey a wicked grin and a thumbs up. "Damn, Trey, you're a beast. You tore the bedding to shreds." Trey looked at him with disgust. "Ford, what are you doing here?" Ford lit a cigarette for Trey. "You take a break, bro. Let me take a turn." Leah said the more guys, the better the chances of getting a seed. When Penny saw Ford, her hair stood on end, and her face contorted with rage. Sensing trouble, I quickly tried to calm her down. She said to me hatefully, "He's the one who killed me." Penny had been a high school student, abducted by traffickers and sold to Ford here in the village. During the day, she was worked like an animal, and at night he would abuse her. She tried to escape several times but was always caught. The entire village monitored the women they bought, making escape impossible. Penny died within 2 years. After her death, she wanted revenge, but Ford, sensing her presence, got a protective talisman from the village's Taoist master. Penny could no longer get near Ford and planned to file a complaint in the underworld. But to her surprise, the Taoist master had placed a barrier around the village, trapping her. She was forced to become a wandering ghost, destined to eventually fade away into nothingness. I looked closely at Ford and saw a protective talisman in a small bamboo tube hanging around his neck, glowing faintly red. It was likely a common folk ward against evil. I drew a nightmare ghost charm in the air and blew it onto Ford's talisman. This was an official underworld seal, far more powerful than any folk magic. Ford's protective talisman was instantly disabled. Trey wanted to prove his stamina, but was too drained. He let Ford go first while he tried to recover. Ford stripped and jumped onto the bed. Penny pretended to be into it while waving at Trey off to the side. Trey, bewitched, felt a surge of passion and his confidence return, and he foolishly joined in. Ford was a bit reluctant, pouting at Trey, "Bro, this is kinda unsanitary. What do you know? They do this in movies all the time." Trey replied with a lewd grin. Penny, now stronger after absorbing some life force, quickly had them both completely under her spell. Trey and Ford now saw each other as the woman, and began to embrace passionately, pulling out all their best moves. The scene became even more unbearable to watch, so I just turned my face away. As their vital energy was released, Penny let out a whistle and announced, "Dinner's served." Shadowy figures emerged from the corners of the room. Dozens of female ghosts, finally able to bypass Ford's talisman, swarmed in to feast on his essence. I glanced over and was stunned. They were all the lonely, wandering souls of women who had died unjustly and were unable to reincarnate. Just how many women had this village murdered? Penny explained that the village was extremely misogynistic. Many newborn girls were drowned, and when the boys grew up, they couldn't find wives, so they bought them from other places. Many of these women ended up meeting the same fate as her. Most of these ghosts were weak. After getting their fill of life force, their pale faces regained color, and they looked revitalized. I told them to hide for now. After I dealt with Leah's brother at the wedding ceremony, I would take them all to the local shrine to report their grievances, allowing them to be reincarnated. Hearing this, a few of the ghosts immediately tried to stop me. "No, you can't. You'll get us all killed. That Taoist master is incredibly powerful. You can't beat him. If he gets angry, he'll obliterate our souls, and we won't even be able to be ghosts anymore." Penny, hearing this, got angry. "I'm done being a ghost. Now that we finally have a chance, I'll drag the men of this village down with me, even if I die trying." The ghost who led the opposition, a woman named Lily, said, "If you want to fight, you go ahead, but don't drag us down with you." I asked Lily, "What's the story with this Taoist master?" Lily quickly replied, "He's Leah's great-uncle. They call him Master Lee. His powers are immense and terrifying. We can't afford to cross him." The other ghosts chimed in nervously, "Yes, that's right. Anyone who dared to resist him was destroyed, soul and all. You should leave quickly, don't get us involved." I told them not to worry. He might be a Taoist master, but I was a Reaper, an official agent of the underworld. I wasn't afraid of his folk magic. The ghosts were still skeptical, so I had Penny lead them away to wait for my signal. After sending the ghosts off, I wanted to contact Shui, only to realize my phone had been confiscated. I had no choice but to eat one of the calm talismans. I connected with Shui. After I explained the situation, Shui was also a bit shocked. He told me to be careful, and that he would arrange for backup as soon as possible. Then he said excitedly, "This is our department's chance to crush our year-end numbers." The next morning, just as the sun was rising, Leah and Mrs. Lee came into the room, beaming. Their cheerful expressions immediately turned into pig-like squeals of horror. I was pretending to be asleep when Leah shook me awake. She grabbed me and demanded, "What happened?" I sat up, rubbed my eyes, and pretended to be shocked too. Ford was wearing black stockings, lying sensuously in Trey's arms. Both were naked, stuck together like glue. I muttered, "Oh, my God," and buried my face in the blanket. Mostly because I was afraid I'd burst out laughing. Leah, furious, started pulling me out of the bed. "I told you to get a seed from them, not turn them gay." I put on a panicked expression and shook my head frantically. I think I was too nervous last night, so I just got drunk and passed out. I don't know how this happened. Then I started to fake cry. "Leah, am I really that unattractive?" Leah stomped her foot in frustration and went to shake Trey and Ford. She found them drenched in cold sweat, their lips pale, and their eyes bruised black. They had passed out. Leah quickly called for 2 male relatives to help carry them to a doctor. It was only when they tried to lift them that they realized the two were stuck together and couldn't be separated. Trey's and Ford's mothers arrived, and upon seeing the scene, their legs gave out. They sat on the floor, crying and demanding that Mrs. Lee pay for this. Mrs. Lee was panicking too, slapping her thighs and wailing, "I sent them to borrow a seed, not to have a sword fight." Leah tried to calm things down. "Aunties, let's not air our dirty laundry. Saving them is the priority." Leah dismantled 2 door panels to use as stretchers and instructed everyone to separate Trey and Ford, very slowly. I rushed forward to help, wrapped my arms around Trey's waist, and with all my might gave a sudden sharp pull. Crack. The two of them separated with a sickening tear. The points of their connection started bleeding profusely, one like a showerhead, the other like a faucet. Trey woke up from the pain, looked down, let out a bizarre scream, and passed out again. Everyone scrambled for towels to stop the bleeding. Leah, furious, stomped on my foot. "Why did you pull so hard?" I replied with a straight face, "Well, are they separated or not?" Leah's aunt collapsed on the floor weeping. "Oh, my baby's family jewels can't be broken." Everyone frantically loaded Trey, Ford, and their mothers onto the door panel stretchers and rushed them off for medical help. After they left, Leah stared at me with deep suspicion. She searched the room again but couldn't find anything out of place. Still, she couldn't figure out what had happened. Finally, she said with a dark expression, "The wedding ceremony is today, so I'm not going to argue with you about this. But remember this. You're not leaving this village until you give our family a child." I pretended to be nervous and asked her, What if there's something wrong with my body?" Leah gave a cold smile. "You better pray you're healthy. Otherwise, you'll be begging me to find men for you." After breakfast, Leah helped me with my makeup and hair. She dressed me in a traditional Chinese bridal outfit. Then she took me to her family's ancestral graves to pay respects. After that, she just had me sit on a grave mound and wait. It was freezing. I huddled up and asked, "When does it start?" Leah shot me a nasty look. "Humph, now you're more impatient than I am? Don't worry. As soon as the auspicious time arrives, the wedding party will be here." It was only then that I realized a ghost marriage procession starts from the cemetery. So I waited, my stomach empty. By the time it was getting dark, I was nearly frozen stiff. A thick white fog rolled in, and the graves behind me stretched out in layers, creating a creepy atmosphere. Suddenly, the sound of Swana horns cut through the cold wind. A soul-guiding banner fluttered in the mist. Normally, these banners say the Great Road to the West. But this one said Western Paradise. Red paper money flew through the air like crimson snow. Amidst the flurry, the wedding procession emerged from the fog. All the musicians were in odd numbers. Everyone wore black and kept their heads down. Some held paper craft models of mansions, sports cars, airplanes, and yachts. Leah grabbed my arm and shook it, so excited she was crying. "Look how well my family is treating you. Whose wedding has airplanes, yachts, and supercars?" I thought to myself, all this paper junk combined probably isn't worth enough to buy a bicycle. But I kept a smile on my face and said, "Yeah, when you get married, I hope you get a set just like this." Leah glared at me. "It's a happy day. Why would you say something so ominous?" Then she turned and waved excitedly at the procession. "Brother, you're finally here." A wave of cold energy washed over me. I then noticed a white horse in the procession. On its back was a black and white funeral portrait smiling at me. In front of it was an incense burner. 8 men carrying a sedan chair stopped in front of me. The chair was black, decorated with gold foil cutouts of the double happiness symbol and mandarin ducks. It had a strange, unsettling vibe. A ghost matchmaker, her face ghostly white with 2 bright red circles on her cheeks, came forward with a beaming smile. She covered my head with a red veil, ushered me into the sedan chair, and announced we were ready for the wedding ceremony. Inside the chair, I secretly chewed a calm talisman to report my situation to Shui. Shui told me to be careful and not to make any sudden moves. I should wait until the Taoist master appeared before taking action. After a bumpy ride, we arrived outside the Lee family's main gate. A large brazier was placed in front of the door, its flames leaping over 3 feet high. I lifted my veil slightly to peek. What's with the fire pit? Leah said dismissively, you don't even know this? It's to burn away your bad luck, so you don't bring anything nasty into our home. Then she grabbed my arm and pulled me forward. Hurry up, don't miss the auspicious time. As we reached the brazier, she poured a cup of oil into it. The flames roared up, shooting nearly 7 feet high. It was terrifying. Leah laughed and yelled, come on. A fiery start for a prosperous future. I sneered, then took a running leap over it. As I landed, I pretended to lose my footing, kicking the edge of the brazier with my heel. Clang! The fire pit flew through the air and landed squarely on Leah's head. If it had just been charcoal, it might have been okay, but now there was oil. Whoosh! Her hair and clothes instantly went up in flames. Leah screamed and jumped around, while a few older women rushed to help. Some were tearing off her clothes, others were throwing water on her, while a few of the men in the procession just stood by, laughing. I couldn't help but chuckle. I yelled at her, Leah, it's my wedding day. What are you doing a whole song and dance routine with smoke effects? You look like a roasted chicken. What's the big show for? The fire on Leah was out, but the fire inside her was raging. She grabbed a wine bottle to hit me, but the older women quickly stopped her. I put a finger to my lips in a shush gesture. Today is your brother's big day. Don't ruin it for the family. Mrs. Lee also shot Leah a glare. Get your sister-in-law to the ceremony. Leah, her face black with soot and rage, cursed under her breath as she changed her clothes and put on a wig to continue her duties as my bridesmaid. As she helped me walk forward, she forced a smile, but her words were venomous. Well, I always thought you were such a quiet, harmless person. Turns out you're a real snake. I'd advise you to accept your situation. Don't get ahead of yourself. I couldn't even be bothered to reply. Dealing with Leah was just a side quest. The main objective was to take down Master Lee. But for some reason, he was nowhere to be seen. Leah led me inside. The front courtyard was filled with banquet tables, and the villagers were all drinking and celebrating loudly. It looked just like a normal wedding. But as we entered the back courtyard, the atmosphere changed completely. The main hall was empty and dark. The electric lights were off. Although many red lanterns were lit, they gave off no sense of celebration. The light was cold, casting an eerie, somber glow. On a table in the hall sat a pair of dragon and phoenix red candles. On either side sat Mr. and Mrs. Lee, the red light flickering across their pale faces, making them look like something between human and ghost. The ghost matchmaker shouted in a shrill voice, "The bride enters the home, bringing blessings, fortune, and joy. The bride enters the hall, bringing gold, silver, and treasures to fill the hall." As I walked in, I could see through my veil that 3 rows of chairs were set up at the front of the hall. But they were empty, holding only ancestral tablets, the deceased ancestors of the Lee family. I stood in the center of the hall, and the ghost matchmaker shrieked again, "The auspicious hour has arrived. We invite the groom." My heart started pounding. Even though I was a reaper, used to dealing with the dead, marrying one was a first. A heavy set of footsteps approached from the side, accompanied by a nauseating smell of incense, ash, and decay. 2 groomsmen were escorting the groom. He was dressed in a Republican-era suit, his face covered by a mask woven from copper coins and gold thread, completely hiding his features. The ghost matchmaker addressed the groom loudly. "Though you passed early, your duty unfulfilled, sleeping alone in the Nether Springs. A lonely fate indeed. The Wu family has a daughter, her fate like the autumn frost, betrothed to you by right, to join your spirit. On this chosen auspicious day, the rites are complete, the union is blessed. May your spirit descend and accept this offering." After her speech, the matchmaker yelled at both of us, "Groom Ligue, bride Quinn, the auspicious time is here. Begin the ceremony. First bow to heaven and earth. Second bow to the elders. Husband and wife bow to each other." After we bowed, the groom Ligue slowly straightened up with the help of his groomsmen. I thought I heard him laugh. The sound wasn't human, nor was it ghostly. It sent a chill down my spine. In my days, the ghost matchmaker tossed a handful of red paper money. Send them to the bridal chamber. The light in the bridal chamber was dim, with only 2 red candles burning. The groomsmen carried the groom to the bed and laid him down. Leah looked on with satisfaction. "Brother, you're finally married." Then she looked at me. "I just got a call from the county. Ford is dead, and Trey had to have surgery. There are no more relatives we can borrow a seed from." I sighed softly. "Perhaps it's fate." Leah gave a cold laugh. "Yes, it's fate that you can only carry my brother's child." She patted my face through the veil. "Tonight, you absolutely must get pregnant." Leah turned to the ghost matchmaker. "Begin." Looking at the matchmaker's sinister face, I started to panic. Didn't we already finish the ceremony? What else is there to begin? The ghost matchmaker grinned at me. "After the ceremony comes the consummation, of course." The two groomsmen pushed me down onto the bed. They lit a stick of incense, as thick as a chopstick, and placed it between my legs, telling me to clamp them shut. Then they placed another lit incense stick between the groom's legs. The ghost matchmaker said, "Only when this yin-yang harmony incense is lit does the consummation truly begin. If you dare let the incense go out, I'll break your legs." I quickly pretended to comply. "I won't move, but with you guys standing here, how are we supposed to, you know?" The ghost matchmaker chuckled. "Don't worry. As long as you behave, we won't disturb you two lovebirds." She and the groomsmen left, cackling. The room fell silent, with only the smoke from the incense between my and the groom's legs swirling in the air. The two plumes of smoke gradually intertwined. I thought to myself, this Taoist master is seriously skilled. The incense wasn't just for show, it could actually bridge the worlds of the living and the dead. But after waiting for a while, the groom's spirit still hadn't appeared. Just as I was wondering what was going on. Rustle. Rustle. Something in the room was moving. Listening closely, I realized the movement was coming from right beside me. The groom's corpse had, at some point, started to stir. I'd seen plenty of spirits and corpses, but a reanimated corpse was a first. The groom slowly sat up. As his body moved, the putrid gas from his stomach was squeezed out, and the smell was sickening. He made a strange squeaking sound as the copper coin mask fell from his face onto the bed. Only then did I see a talisman stuck to his face, covered in bizarre symbols. I suddenly remembered Shui telling me about corpse puppetry, a dark art even more advanced than corpse herding. I couldn't believe I'd run into it today. Even worse, the corpse started taking off its clothes. His upper body was bloodless and skeletal, but his lower half was already pitching a tent. He's dead. How can he still be so restless? It was then that I finally understood. Before we entered the bridal chamber, Leah told me I had to get pregnant with her brother's child. I thought she was just blowing off steam, but I never thought they'd be this serious. People desecrate corpses, but who's ever heard of a corpse desecrating a living person? In the blink of an eye, the groom was crawling toward me. I tried to struggle, but I felt completely powerless, unable to move. I looked at the incense between my legs and instantly realized what was happening. Besides connecting the ghost marriage couple, this incense also had a paralyzing effect. No wonder the matchmaker wasn't worried about me resisting. My limbs grew stiffer and stiffer as I watched helplessly while the groom tore at my clothes. In a panic, I yelled at the groom, "Honey!" The groom froze. Seeing that it worked, I quickly puckered my lips. The groom let out a couple of weird, hee-hee laughs and puckered his lips to kiss me, his breath reeking of decay. As he got close, I summoned all my strength and blew hard at his face. The corpse control talisman on his face immediately flipped up. While it wasn't completely blown off, it was left clinging by a single corner, revealing most of his face. The groom's expression went blank, and his movements became sluggish, slow like a sloth. Using every ounce of my strength, I rolled over, extinguishing the incense between my legs. I scrambled off the bed, threw open the window and gasped for air. I had wanted to handle this myself, but now I had no choice but to call for backup from the local reapers. I drew a summoning sigil on my palm and chanted the incantation to call the local reaper. My palm immediately started to throb. I had made contact. But then a new wave of fear washed over me. The intensity of the throb indicated that the local reaper was nearby, no more than 3 feet away, which meant the reaper was in this room. But besides me and the groom, there was no one else here. I looked around wildly. Suddenly, 2 points of cold light flashed from under the bed. An iron chain shot out and wrapped around my neck. It was a soul-catching chain, something only Reapers had. It could rip a person's living soul right out of their body, and it was invisible to the naked eye. This chain was glowing red, indicating a higher rank than mine. An old man crawled out from under the bed, looking at me with a strange smile. I didn't need an introduction to recognize him. He was the local Taoist master, Master Li. He had been hiding under the bed the whole time, controlling the groom's corpse. I looked at him in disbelief. You're a Reaper too? Master Li sneered. I warned you not to meddle. You came here looking for death. Ghostly figures flickered behind him. I recognized a few faces, including Lily, and next to her was Penny, already bound by a soul-catching chain. Master Li gave a sharp tug, and my soul was ripped from my body. My physical body collapsed to the floor with a thud. Looking at my own lifeless form, I knew I was in deep trouble. I was probably going to end up just like the other female ghosts. I tried to struggle, but Master Li's chain was too high level I couldn't break free. I demanded loudly, "You're a Reaper too. Why are you doing this?" Master Li, smoking a cigarette, restuck the corpse control talisman on the groom. I, Li, have cultivated the Tao my whole life, moving between the worlds of the living and the dead, using every trick of feng shui and divination I know. But I've been poor my whole life, and all my descendants are short-lived and unlucky. Why? I gave a cold laugh. Isn't it because you're always looking for shortcuts and have done too many wicked things? Master Li nodded. But cultivation is all about stealing secrets from heaven. What did I do wrong? I won't accept this. So I found you a female Reaper, to fix the feng shui of my family's ancestral tomb. I was shocked. You knew I was a Reaper all along? You've been targeting me? Master Li smiled. That's right. Someone with a birth chart as heavy as yours is a rare and perfect material for changing one's luck. Master Li formed a soul-refining hand seal and pointed it at me. I'm going to refine your living soul into a tomb guardian ghost to boost my family's ancestral feng shui. Extreme Yin gives birth to Yang. I'll defy fate and change my luck. As Master Li chanted, I realized the floor was covered in a talismanic circle. The symbols glowed with a faint green light, trapping my soul inside. Master Li pushed his hands forward, and a massive soul-refining seal flew toward me. If it hit me, my soul would be dragged into his family's tomb. I jerked my head, and a morning staff shot out from my left ear. The moment Master Li's soul-catching chain saw my morning staff, it instantly dissipated. In that moment of hesitation, I grabbed the staff and swung it back. With a loud crash, his soul-refining seal was shattered. He collapsed to the ground, staring in disbelief at the staff in my hand. Impossible. How do you have an artifact from the underworld? My soul, gripping the morning staff, returned to my body. I stood up, trembling all over. The power of this staff was incredible. Before I left, my department chief was worried I'd run into trouble, so he lent me this for self-defense. As a Reaper, you've knowingly broken the law and violated the rules of the underworld. You're coming with me. Master Li retracted his chain and stood up with his hands raised, then suddenly grinned at something beside me. Get her. The groom immediately lunged at me like a zombie. I swept the staff horizontally. The moment the groom touched the morning staff, he was thrown back as if electrocuted. In that instant, Master Li had already fled the room. I quickly gave chase. I ran right into Leah, who was charging at me with a pig butchering knife in her hand, followed by several young men from the Li family. I yelled at her, "Get out of the way. I'm only after Master Li." Leah pointed the knife at me. So you're a Reaper, huh? You know magic, huh? Let's see if you're afraid of a pig butchering knife. Then she grinned maliciously and lunged, stabbing at me. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I was speechless. I couldn't use the morning staff on her, so I had to put it away. Then I kicked her wrist. Leah's knife went flying, and at the same time, my foot connected with her face, sending her crashing to the ground. I was truly exasperated. Are you an idiot? I thought. Besides knowing magic, I'm also the Sonda champion of the university games. Did you forget that? I took down the other guys with a few quick punches and kicks, then grabbed Leah by her clothes and lifted her up. Leah, I tried to help you, and this is how you treat me? Tricking me into a ghost marriage is one thing, but I suspect your family is involved in human trafficking. The law won't let you get away with it. Leah finally felt fear. She dropped to her knees and started begging, "No, no, please don't. My life will be ruined." I kicked her away. "Did you ever think about that when you were ruining other people's lives?" Leah crawled back over. "I know I was wrong. For the sake of our friendship, please forgive me." She clung tightly to my leg, refusing to let go. Something felt wrong. Just as I was about to kick her away again, a foul smell hit me from above. Splash. I was drenched. The stench of something rank and foul told me immediately what it was. Dog's blood mixed with feces. I spat repeatedly, "Tui, tui, tui," and kneed Leah in the face, sending her flying. But my heart was pounding. In this state, my magical abilities would be severely weakened. Master Lee was standing on the roof. He had thrown the bucket and was now holding a peachwood sword and jujube nails, aiming at me. Before I could speak, I felt a sudden tightness. The groom I had knocked down was back, his hands clamped around me like iron bars, muttering over and over, "Consummate, consummate." While I struggled, Master Lee used his peachwood sword to light a talisman, bit his tongue, and spat a mouthful of blood onto the sword, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Quinn, go guard my family's tomb and turn my fortune. By the power of all paths, may ghosts and gods be tamed." With a roar, the peachwood sword shot toward me, the talisman imbued with the entirety of Master Lee's dark cultivation. I'd seen plenty of people use flying swords, but I'd never felt a presence as oppressive as Master Lee's. Covered in dog blood and feces, my powers were at an all-time low. I quickly shoved the groom aside and rolled on the ground. The enchanted sword swerved unnaturally, chasing after me. After rolling, I grabbed Leah and pulled her in front of me as a shield. Crack. The wooden sword pierced Leah's chest. While the sword had little physical impact, its magical damage was off the charts. Leah fell unconscious, but her soul was ripped out with a silent scream. In an instant, dozens of souls swarmed toward her. They were the Lee family ancestors who had been at the wedding ceremony. Drawn by the scent of the spell, they flew out of their ancestral tablets and swarmed Leah's soul, tearing at it. They had mistaken her for the tomb guardian ghost Master Lee was trying to create, and they were dragging her toward the ancestral tomb. Leah's soul screamed in terror, but it was useless. In a flash, she was gone, destined to serve those depraved old ghosts for lifetimes to come. On the roof, Master Lee slumped down, defeated. That last attack had drained all his power, but it had missed its mark. He gave me a miserable smile. "I admit defeat. Do what you will." But just as he finished speaking, ghostly shadows swirled around him. The female ghosts he had imprisoned in the village for years had now surrounded him. He had played with dark arts his whole life, but in the end he couldn't escape the karmic backlash. I didn't have time to listen to his cries for mercy. I just ran, because I was covered in dog crap, and I desperately needed a shower. The matter was resolved perfectly. My ghost nuptial ring fell off automatically. The wandering souls of the village were able to reincarnate. The underworld assigned a new, more closely supervised reaper to the village. Soon after, the police went to the village and arrested several human traffickers. Because I helped my department crush its numbers, I was officially promoted to a full-fledged female reaper. But I still ended up as a joke in the stand-up routine at the annual Underworld Gala. They called me the world's messiest reaper. I don't know if that's why, but I haven't been able to find a date for a long time.